Our main mission is to provide a foundation for all those who are interested in higher education, research, and other development and innovation initiatives between India and Finland. And we try to act as an easy entry point or access to the Finnish RDI ecosystem. We have the capacity to connect with almost 100% of the Finnish academia and Finnish research institutes because we are very, very closely connected with one another. And we also work very closely with our policy level actors, meaning the ministries, Business Finland, and other policy level institutes such as the EU delegation to India. So I would advise you to look through our website because currently we have 30 jointly seed-funded projects going on between various Indian institutes and Finnish technical universities. Those are very good chances for you to understand the nature of projects which are going on and more about the research fields that each of the Finnish institutions have. And the researchers and the PIs who are involved in these projects are more prone to take up students from India as PhD scholars or postdoc fellows. And almost all the Finnish institutes welcome for you to apply as the Marie Curie postdoc fellowships. And there are so many services, for example, grant writers who would review your application and also to help you to build it in a way that it becomes a high quality application if you're interested in fellowships. And PhD education is free of cost in Finland. And of course, except for the funding that you would need for research education, there are no other costs involved. And most of the PhD positions are fully funded. So this is an excellent opportunity. I think you are already aware that Finland is one of the innovation countries ranking very, very high in the index of innovation and also known for its entrepreneurial ecosystems. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. And then there are so many support systems to make your research into commercialization. So this is some other aspects or some other dimension that you could think of as a complement to your research expertise. So we welcome all of you to Finland in some capacity or the other. And we are already the happiest country in the world. And we are very sure that with your expertise and joining us, we will make it even more happier and stronger. So welcome. I will post the link of our website in the chat. So please go through it. And for any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you. Thanks, Samrat.
Thank you so much, Kit, for this very great introduction about, FICOR and also the Finnish landscape and, what potential is there also in the bilateral cooperation between India and Finland. And this webinar is kind of one of those elements we want to help to strengthen this ties between Finland and India. And of course, through mobility programs and opportunities for Indian researchers to learn more about, Finland and its different universities and programs. Now, I'm very happy to welcome our first presenter from Aalto University. It is Dr. Sorin Paraoanu. He's a senior university lecturer at Department of Applied Physics, as I said, at Aalto University. Dr. Sorin, a warm welcome to you again. Thank you for joining and participating. And the floor is yours. We're very much interested to know what your department, your university has to offer in terms of PhD postdoc opportunities for Indian nationals.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Samrat, for the kind introduction. So I'm going to talk about what is happening in Finland in terms of quantum technology, which is a very interesting and highly developing topic in research in the world in general. But as you will see, Finland has very interesting things to say about it on the international stage. So you are welcome to join our programs and to join our groups and do research and teaching together with us. So I will start by saying that there is a history behind it that you can see in these slides. We are building on a strong tradition in low temperature physics, amongst other things. So it started in the 60s with a low temperature laboratory in Otaniemi in Helsinki. And then this has developed over the years. We have all kinds of European infrastructure collaborations. From 95, we have a number of centers of excellence running around these facilities. And from 2009, we have the infrastructure research, which is dedicated to nanotechnology and to quantum physics. And so some of the things that we are interested in and that we are doing are related to applications. For instance, in quantum metrology, you may find this kind of diagram very illuminating, because we know the current, the voltage, and the frequencies, and we want to connect them via universal constants. Then we do a lot of research on materials. This comprises graphene nanotubes, 2D materials. We do work on superconductivity, superfluidity, nanoelectronics of all kinds. We work on quantum computing a lot. We do superconducting circuits of various types for various purposes. And one of the applications for our squids, for instance, is magnetoencephalography that you would see here. And you can also come to our lab and take some pictures of your thoughts as you process them. And so what you see in this slide is the fact that we are presently running a center of excellence in quantum technologies. And this is related to dilution refrigerators and to low temperature physics. We have a number of devices and a number of ideas how to study electrons and photons at the lowest level, at the quantum level. And this is an ongoing development process of national centers of excellence. We have been very lucky to be part of various organizations starting around 1995 in low temperature physics. And then our department has also been working in centers of excellence related to computational physics, which is a very strong direction also in the department. So if you are interested in computational physics, I strongly advertise you also this direction. Now we are looking at developing the industrial and business environment around our research activity. And this has been very successful. You see here a number of companies that have been sprung out of this research. Some of these companies are extremely successful. For instance, this Blue Force company is presently selling most of the dilution fridges in the world. So if you look at any major company, including IBM or Google, they are using these machines for their low temperature and for quantum computing research. And then we have a number of companies that are very recent, and they even focus on really on quantum computing and quantum simulation. All right, we do have a lot of facilities here. So these are very expensive devices and very high tech that we are running. So a number of sub-millikelvin facilities like nuclear demagnetization cryostats. We have many dilution refrigerators. I think this number is already outdated. So on which we are doing mostly low temperature nanoelectronics research. And we also have room temperature facilities, for instance, for graphene, for optics. And we are making our chips in a clean room, which is the largest in Northern Europe. It has 2,600 square meters, and it has a lot of processes that are available for both for academia, also for industry, which is very good, because what we are aiming at is to create a cluster of technology around this area. A few highlights that I would like to present here are, and at the same time directions of research, are fast detectors for quantum memories, heat valves, which are working at the quantum level. You see here, there's a qubit here transferring heat between two reservoirs. Quantum control, where we try to realize extremely efficient pulses and control operations of superconducting qubits, magnetic switching of nanolasers, and then macroscopic quantum entanglement, where people have managed to entangle really large macroscopic size objects, such as mechanical resonators. And then on also perhaps it's interesting to advertise this. We also have a very strong direction on quantum computing. So in 2017, there was a project starting at Aalto and VTT with the goal of developing a quantum computer. There's a company called IQM that is established, and their goal is to build large-scale quantum computers. And then in around 2022, at the end of 2022, the first such device became publicly available. You may also want to use it if you like, if you have a code that you want to run on it. But it's a very interesting device because it's a superconducting quantum computer connected to a classical supercomputer. This LUMI is one of the fastest supercomputers in the world, and certainly the fastest in Europe. And it's based in Finland. And this is one interesting thing, that we are trying to connect the supercomputer with a quantum computer. So this organization, which is called FIXI, is trying to develop this high quantum computing and high performance computing in Finland, and is responsible for ensuring that things get developed and there is computing time available and training for people. So if you come here, there will be people who know how to integrate your work into either the high TC, high PC part or the quantum computing part. In terms of expertise, we have actually a lot, depending on which of these boxes you feel more comfortable with. So we work on materials, we work on devices, on computing, algorithms, and software, and communication. And on each of these, we have a lot of understanding of various things that happens, and everything is pretty much at the level of at the cutting edge level that you might find in any tech lab in the world. We also have an initiative which is called Institute Q that is trying to promote the collaboration between several actors in Finland interested in quantum technologies. So at present, this is our map. So we are trying to put together all these universities and research institutes such as VTT. This is the Technical Research Institute of Finland. CST, this is a computational center of in Finland, which is focused on scientific computing. And so we try to bring in all this expertise under this big umbrella of Institute Q, and to streamline our expertise and trying to see what we can do together. So this is the mission, and to get ready our society for the quantum era, to usher us in the quantum era, and to ensure that all these things are taken care of, innovation and business, so to have an ecosystem of quantum companies, education and training, and research and infrastructures, which are very important, expensive, and hard to maintain, but they must be done. And we have been successful in nurturing this quantum industry in Finland. You see here a number of companies and startup, more established or startup companies that we have been able to bring them together. And it's a very exciting environment from this point of view, because you can see how things are growing, and you can see that people get idea and they go out in the real world and become entrepreneurs. And it's a very exciting time to be a scientist, because there is also a lot of interest from the larger society, and there are interesting people around, there is venture capital, so things will develop hopefully quite well in the future. You can find here a more detailed map of quantum technology expertise in Finland. So all these institutes here, universities, they bring in something that the others have or have to a lesser extent. So putting this together is a very important, of course, task of the Institute Q, bringing all this expertise and making sure that things go smooth between different organizations. We are also promoting joint supervision and industrial doctorates. Presently, we have more than 100 doctoral students and about 20 industrial doctorates related to quantum science and technology. So we are, in this way, we are trying to offer something to the industry as well, coming from academia, and this is going in the right direction from this point of view, trying to merge different levels of expertise, interest towards application or to fundamental research, and developing the general ecosystem in quantum technology around Finland. So one example is that you can do is here, there's QPlay Learn, which is a package of games developed and other applications developed related to quantum physics, where everybody can download some application and learn quantum physics in a very pedagogical or different way. And then these are the people that you might want to contact if you are interested in joining us. They are listed here, and you'll get the slides. For postdoc opportunities, we have, of course, all the time searching for talented people in various fields. And the first step would be, in fact, to contact the PI that you think would mostly fit your research interest, write to that PI, and then see what kind of funding is available, and perhaps one can apply to Marie Curie grants or to other ways of supporting. And yeah, the way in which you find these positions is that, of course, you might look in LinkedIn or in some other use some other search engines, but essentially all the jobs will be advertised publicly, so you will see them if they exist when they appear. You can see one example here from Aalto, for instance, that can be you will find it, and you can apply yourself together with other positions that are available. And so this is pretty much it, what I had to say. These are the key sections in Institute Q. We have this section about research, one about education, and another about business. Thank you. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer in the question session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sorin. A very comprehensive overview about the quantum technology landscape in Finland, and you kind of took us from where it started and where it is today, the current state of art, and what kind of opportunities are there and how to approach them. There are quite a lot of questions in the Q&A, mostly about how to apply and so forth. We will, of course, take up some questions, and are happy if you can stay with us for the end of the session. And then we will try to bundle, I think together with Kit, we will try to filter out the most relevant questions to which we can address now. Thank you so much again for your excellent presentation, and thank you also for staying with us a bit longer. Next, I would like to welcome Professor Laura Ruotsalainen from the University of Helsinki. She's a professor at the Department of Computer Science, and we're very much looking forward, Professor Laura, to hear about the programs you are presenting and the opportunities which are there at your university. Thank you so much.
So thank you, and hello everyone. So as said, I come from the University of Helsinki, where I act as a professor of computer science. But today I'm going to talk about a bit larger entity, so something called Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence that actually joins 2 universities and 1 research organization and provides great opportunities for your career. So as said, the Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence is something called a flagship project that is funded by nowadays called the Scientific Council of Finland. And the flagship projects are something that the government of Finland have decided as being very important topics for the whole society. And artificial intelligence is one that has gained a flagship project. And for example, 6G is another thing in Finland that is also a flagship project. And the flagship project has been, or the center has been initiated by University of Helsinki, then Aalto University and VTT Technical Research Center of Finland. And so as the kind of like the name says, we are developing artificial intelligence methods to kind of like make good things for the society. And then the scientific goals of our research are data efficiency, trust and ethics, and understandability. And inside the artificial intelligence FCAI network, there are 70 professors and all the research groups contributing to the work. And actually, we have been really successful in taking the things forward. So last year, we have been ranked as the #1 in artificial intelligence research in the whole Europe. And also, as we are a network center, we also, of course, want to include industry and public sector. So at the moment, we have 470 members in our extended network. Also, something really important that we do is that we want to educate everyone about artificial intelligence. So how should it be used and how does it kind of like benefit the society and everyone's life? And therefore we have created a MOOC, so open education portal that teaches about artificial intelligence for everyone. So it is free and open and very well accessible. And nowadays there have been almost 1 million students who have already participated in the training. So I will say a few words also about, so we are very networked in the European Artificial Intelligence Research Network. And I will talk a bit about this ELLIS European network. But so our mission is to develop very groundbreaking, sophisticated artificial intelligence methods that do help people to kind of like cope and do things in the very complex world. So the how we call it is that we are developing AI that is assisting people in doing the important activities. And of course, the task is quite difficult. So we are working in real world. We are addressing many challenging problems. So the problems are challenging. And of course, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are coping with problems of getting data. So it is quite scarce. And of course, there are issues if we would need to label it all to be able to use it for developing artificial intelligence methods. So how do we then work in practice? So I said we are really big network, so 70 professors and the research groups, and of course all the other entities that are joined in the network. But we have established something called research programs where we are mainly developing the artificial intelligence methodology. And we have their topics, for example, deep learning and autonomous AI and so on. And what is really important for kind of like new academics joining the FCAI activities by getting FCAI funded positions is something that we have created so-called teams which aim to gather together FCAI funded scientists and work together to then kind of like take forward the development and achieve the FCAI kind of like goals. And then in addition to doing the methodological research, we do a bit more applied research. So we are then working together with different entities and now using artificial intelligence and creating artificial intelligence then, as said, to take forward some challenges in the society. So we are, for example, creating or developing artificial intelligence methods to help in creating new sustainable materials, or for example, addressing the atmospheric issues and challenges that there exist. We have also started a new interesting concept called virtual laboratories. And then these mean that we are developing a set of kind of like artificial intelligence methods that could be put together and then opened to everyone in the world developing artificial intelligence systems. It means that we are kind of like making a joint platform with very groundbreaking, sophisticated, state-of-the-art artificial intelligence methods, and then also building a more specific virtual laboratories on top of those. And at the moment in these FCAI teams that I mentioned previously, we are, for example, addressing the new material development, or for example, looking at the future traffic and artificial intelligence-based simulations to do the future traffic organization decisions. And what was already mentioned on the previous presentation is something that we really think is one of the competitive advantages for Finland and also for whole Europe, especially when we are talking about developing groundbreaking artificial intelligence methods. And this is the supercomputer LUMI. So LUMI is the fastest supercomputer in Europe, and actually the third fastest globally. And then the great thing with LUMI is that everyone working in the scientific community have access to the supercomputer. And then those of you who are working with artificial intelligence and especially developing deep learning based methods, you know how important it is to have access to very fast and good computational resources. And in Finland, that is possible now due to the LUMI supercomputer. And I also have to mention that LUMI is also very responsibly built. So it is very sustainable, thinking that all the processing power that it consumes comes from hydro energy, and also all the kind of like heat that comes out from the processing is directed to heat and provide energy for the city in the northern part of Finland, where the computing building is situated. Well, as said, so we really also want to already network and take the artificial intelligence that we create into the benefit the society. So we collaborate a lot. So we, for example, collaborate with other scientific organizations in Finland, then with public sectors, for example, the hospital kind of like area in Helsinki, and will with different cities, and then of course with companies. So we do a lot of straight collaboration with companies. We have projects together with companies and so on. And then of course we also collaborate a lot with other organizations around the world. And that is also one really important, of course, then to kind of like spread the research. And then we do a lot of co-authored publications around the world with organizations around the world. And as said, so Finland also, of course, is very kind of like important part of Europe, and we want to kind of like also extend our research and have very close collaboration with other European organizations. So we work very closely with the network of European artificial intelligence research organizations in this so-called ELLIS network. And we have our own ELLIS node also here in Helsinki. And as I said, so kind of like we are these ELLIS, we have then kind of like close collaboration with many leading institutes also in the European, every European country, so doing artificial intelligence research there. And then some highlights that we have also been doing for the recent years. So as said, we are now working very closely to get the impact of the kind of like artificial intelligence systems methods that we develop. And we have, for example, we work really closely or kind of like with different other organizations tackling societal questions. So for example, with the health care and social services that was mentioned already, but of course with industry. So for example, we have been developing methods to help industrial companies to use computer vision for automating their systems. And then, for example, privacy preserving methods are really essential also for our research. So we want to do the methods responsibly and also protect then the users who are using the methods. And also with the industry, we do a lot of research together. So for example, with working on imaging in dentistry, and then for example, developing together future learning solution or optimizing chemical plants. And then a bit more about then the actual career opportunities. So as I mentioned already, so FCAI is recruiting different kind of academics on different levels. And then when we are talking about recruiting people for FCAI, so it means that the funding comes from FCAI. But as FCAI is not a legal entity, then all the scientists who are hired with FCAI funding are really situated in one of the organizations. So University of Helsinki, University of Aalto, or then VTT Technical Research Center. And then we are recruiting, as I said, at all the different levels of academic career. So we are recruiting PhDs, postdocs, and research fellows. And how we do this in practice is that we announce very wide kind of like area, kind of like widely topics on different AI research areas. And then we kind of like invite applications for these topic areas. And then when we do get the topic area kind of like applications, then we look inside FCAI who would be the most suitable professor for supervising the research. And then the applicants who are then hired for FCAI are then kind of like going to work on the research groups of those certain professors. And then, of course, the goal here is to find new excellent researchers to contribute then to these FCAI's joint goals. And this means that everyone who is recruited by this FCAI funding is then kind of like placed in one of the FCAI teams, where then you have the great opportunity to then collaborate with other academics and then do something together. And now it's really good timing to talk about this because we are just in the phase of opening our next recruitment round. So it should be opened next week and it is open until the beginning of October. And here is the link where you will be then finding the different topics that are then inviting the applications to. So this is about then the kind of like the dedicated FCAI funding. And then of course, all the professors in the network are also interested about discussing then these Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowships. We don't have a certain program for kind of like enabling this, but the process is that you could look from FCAI's web pages where they also kind of like the link is on the bottom right of the slides here, and then find the professor that is doing research that is interesting for your own research field. And then you can contact straight the professor and start the discussions. And if you find mutual interest, so then the professors know how the process goes inside the universities. But I really warmly invite you to submit then the applications or contact the professor straight that you find interesting for your own topics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Laura, for your very nice presentation and giving a very clear overview about the program and how to apply and how to approach for positions. And of course, it's very timely right now that the next round is starting soon. So this gives you who are now attending today a heads up. You know, you have like already the first-hand information, and you can really start like looking at these opportunities which are there. Thank you so much. And Professor Laura, could you maybe just stop sharing your screen?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And with that, Professor Lara, you will also stay with us for the Q&A session?
I will, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
I'll be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so then I would just say we go to our next presenter, which is Dr. Nurul Mahmood from the University of Oulu. And he's a docent, a Center for Wireless Communications at the Faculty Information Technology and Electric Engineering. And he will present today the 6G flagship program. Professor Dr. Nurul, very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Samrat, for your nice introduction, and thank you to all of you for joining this webinar, and also to the fellow panelists. So as you have said, my name is Nurul Mahmood. I'm representing the 6G flagship from the Center for Wireless Communications at the University of Oulu. And as Professor Laura nicely introduced, so 6G flagship is another flagship program from this Academy of Finland, or as it is called now, Research Council of Finland. But before explaining what is 6G flagship, let me just first see. Okay, so just first introduce you to Oulu, which is a northern city. And as you can see here in the map, we are quite close to the Arctic Circle, so maybe about 200 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. And Oulu is the capital of northern Scandinavia. It's a relatively middle-sized city, home of around 200,000 people. And it's a very much technology-oriented city, and it has the most per capita R&D investment in Finland. And then the University of Oulu is one of the two universities in this city. The other university is the University of Applied Sciences in Oulu. And then this is a relatively young university, so we are close to 65 years old. And we have like around 14,000 students and around 4,000 staffs. In brief, we have like 8 different faculties covering different aspects of the education field. And here I'm representing this Faculty of Information Technology and Electrical Engineering, which is this ITEE faculty. Then we are also pretty much quite international university. So in terms of the students, more than 10% of our students are international students. And we have 24 international master's program in English. And also we have a good number of PhD programs, as I will show later. We also have collaboration with many other universities. And then the focus of our education is that we are trying to teach our students how to solve global challenges. So basically giving them some skills and tools so that they can apply the latest scientific knowledge to solve some practical challenges. And our focus area is in these four different topics, covering different aspects of the, let's say, scientific field. So climate change is quite high on the agenda at the University of Oulu. So this is the Faculty of Engineering. Then health and well-being is also well studied. So Faculty of Medicine or topics related to medicine. Then man and the changing world. So that's more the humanities side. So where we study this Generation Z and how to apply, for example, AI in education and so on. And then the last part where I'm representing again is this AI and digitalization. So more related to this ICT and related stuff. Then something a little bit more about the university. So we are quite well ranked, not the top ranked in Finland, but at least within top 3% of the world universities. And especially in the field of, let's say, communication, we are very highly ranked in the world. And then we have more scientific publications than the degrees awarded. So like very active in research and research output in general. So having then given you a brief introduction to the university in general, so let me talk to you about the 6G flagship program. As Professor Laura mentioned, so this is one of the I think, 10 flagship programs in Finland, and flagship programs are like national research programs that are covered or sponsored by the Academy of Finland or Research Council of Finland. They run for quite some time. So 60 flagship is running for 8 years, starting from 2018, and it will end in 2026. So by when we expect the 60 standard to be somehow quite close to being ready or available. We successfully completed the first phase in the last year. So in the first 4 years was the first phase, and we are now running into the second phase. And unlike this FCAI, 60 flagship is run solely by University of Oulu. So we are, of course, we partner with a lot of other universities and research institutes, but the flagship program is run by the university itself. And then current researchers from, let's say, greatest success of this flagship program so far was this first set of vision papers. So we published 13 60 white papers, and they were very well received in the ICT community because it was the first set of like a blueprint of what 60 will be. And we also, as I said, collaborate a lot with companies. We have more than 400 company collaborators and more than 300 research projects so far ongoing with different universities, research institutes, and companies. Just to dive a little bit deeper into the research of the 60 flagship. So the research areas of 60 flagship is divided into these 4 strategic research areas, as we call them. The biggest of them is wireless connectivity, so which is basically the wireless communication ICT technologies. And it covers from the networking layer to the physical layer. So those of you who have a background in communication, you know that these are the lower 4 layers of the OSI layer. And then alongside, we are also looking into this massive wireless automation. So that's covering this recent hot topic of IoT and machine type communication. Then we also have this area of devices and circuit technology. So that's more or less the hardware side. So RF, building antennas, building radio hardware, and so on. Then we have this distributed intelligence. So that's a bit more related to the computer science. So edge computing, distributed AI, distributed sensing and multimodal communication, and so on. So this kind of more computer science related topics. Then the fourth one is like more covering these 3 other research areas, and it's called human-centric wireless services. So this is more or less providing the test platform for let's say proof of concept of the different technologies or different algorithms developed by the other research areas. So in fact, we have our own 5G network running at the University of Oulu, and in few years ahead, probably we'll have one of the first 60 networks here. Okay. So, and also we investigate within this research area a lot about sustainability and business aspect of the communication side. So again, a bit more on this research topics or research agenda. So as I said, sustainability and business is also quite high on our agenda, because as you know, that up to 5G, we mostly focused on the technology, but as we move towards the 6G, this climate change and all these environmental issues are becoming more and more important. So 6G will be driven by sustainability issues, and of course, this 19 UN Sustainable Development Goals are important inputs to our research directions. Then we also do a lot of research on this regulation, so the spectrum access and this kind of aspect of the communication. So just to highlight here is that we are not only focusing on the technology research, but we are also looking into it as the bigger picture, you know, the sustainability part, the business aspect of it, the regulation aspect of it, and so on. And we have here a QR code where you can read more about our research directions, research visions, and so on. And then maybe just to enthuse you a little bit, so this is, you can read the story here through this QR code. So this is a story of one of our, let's say, youngest and brightest researchers, or young brightest researchers, Professor Onel Lopez, who is an assistant professor in 60 flagship. And according to his testimonial, always the best choice for a 60 researcher. So if you want to research and 60 or related to communication, then always the best choice, as Onel says. So you can also read more about the researcher stories at the University of Oulu through this QR code here. Next, let me tell you a little bit about this doctoral training program. So at the University of Oulu, we have this UniOgs, University of Oulu Graduate School, which administers the doctoral training program. And then these doctoral training programs are divided into four doctoral programs and 22 degree programs. This is just how it's structured. And we have currently around 1,600 doctoral researchers. So that's about 40% of our staff are PhD students. So you can read more about this doctoral school and what is needed for PhD studies at the University of Oulu through this link. So basically the requirements are 5. So you need to have a principal supervisor who will supervise your research. Of course, you need to have a Master's of Science degree, and there's a minimum grade. It's 60% for the degree and as well as 60% for the master's thesis. So this is the minimum requirement to be admitted. Then you also need to show some sufficient language skills, and then you need to have a research plan, which is done together with the principal supervisor after you arrive here. Yes, and then maybe here I can just highlight that the doctoral program is equivalent to 4 years of full-time work. And then, of course, it involves taking some courses depending on the discipline, 20 to 40 ECTS. So that's roughly about 4 to 8 months of full-time studies. And then on top of that, you have to do the research and write a doctoral dissertation or doctoral thesis and then defend it publicly. And then in terms of the open positions, all open positions at the University of Oulu, so not only 60 flagship, but throughout the university, different disciplines are advertised in this link here. So you can always find the latest open positions. And this is not only related to PhD positions, but all open positions. So I think that's a very nice place to visit if you want to, if you're interested to coming to the University of Oulu. Then I think Kit mentioned this Finland fellowship program. So maybe I have a few slides here which can also tell you a little bit about this. So this fellowship program is targeted for talented students coming from non-EU countries. And then even if you're here already in Finland, still you can apply, but before enrolling in a PhD program. And then this fellowship covers the first year of salary, so around 40,000 euros. And then also you get some relocation compensation and so on. You can read the details through this link. In the interest of time, maybe I will skip the details. You should note here that this deadline, so around 2 months from now is the deadline for the current call. If you're interested, then you can apply, and here are information about how to apply. These slides will be provided to you, so you can basically look into that. One thing here is that you need to find a supervisor who is willing to supervise you. So basically, before you apply, you need to contact the supervisor and get a commitment letter from the supervisor. So that's the most important thing, I would say. And to look into, let's say, the supervisors or researchers at the 60 Flagship program, then I would suggest to visit our website, 60flagship.com, which is given at the last slide of this presentation. So there you can see all our researchers, and then you can contact the researcher who is most aligned to your research interest. Yeah, maybe I'll skip this one, just the evaluation criteria. And then maybe a little bit about the benefits of working at the University of Oulu. So flexible working hours, remote work is possible. So most of us after COVID era, we are working a few days from home and a few days from the office. And then also we have you can read the details here, but we also have very good program for international staff, including spouse program and buddy program and so on. So there are a lot of like support services provided by our international office for our international staff to help you adjust to the life in Finland. So with that, I would like to end. I hope I have not run over time. So as I said, this is the link to our website, 60 Flagship. And of course, then you can also look into other programs at the University of Oulu through our website, oulu.fi, for the general University of Oulu information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nurul Mahmood, for excellent presentation about the flagship program, and also giving a bit of understanding of what these programs are about. And also, I think it was very interesting now, of course, seeing how to apply and what is required for international researcher candidate who wants to come to your university to enroll in the doctoral programs. I know you have a very limited time because you have some other commitments. So I will start the Q&A session immediately with you. Maybe if we can just go into, like, we see there are a lot of questions about, I'm interested in engineering, in biology, in all different kind of scientific fields, and we will also again repeat how you can look into these different opportunities. But what I was really wanted to ask you is, like, let's say I have identified the program I want to apply to. I have seen this, selected maybe a supervisor. Now I'm contacting the supervisor. How should I go about it in Finland? Because there's also there's a cultural way of approaching a supervisor. If you could give any advice, like how should I approach supervisor that I will receive a reply, positive or not positive, that doesn't matter, but at least that I know that, okay, my email, my interest has been addressed, has reached the professor, and he will reply to me. I know the professors are very overworked. We know that. You get a lot of emails, inquiries. But can you give some advice to our attendees? What would your suggestion?
Thank you for the question. Of course, I cannot speak on behalf of all professors. I think Professor Laura and Dr. Sorin know that better than me. But in terms of the 6-year flagship program, I would say that it also depends a little bit on the researcher. Researchers are different, professors are different. So some professors may respond directly, some professors may be a bit less responsive, maybe more busy. So it depends from the person to person. But within the 6-year flagship, I would say that the best way is to look for open positions. That's the most secure way, because if you apply for open positions, then they're 100% guaranteed to be evaluated. So that's the best way. And of course, if you know someone who knows a professor, then that might be helpful in connecting to the professors. I know some professors, they always respond to email requests and so on, but some professors may not do that. And I would say for postdocs it's easier, because for PhD positions, the number is much larger than postdoc applicants or postdoc positions. So for PhD positions, it may be a bit difficult to get direct response. But for postdoc, I think it works usually most of the time. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Nurul. I would also like to ask the other speakers to put on their videos and come into the discussion. Dr. Nurul, of course, you're free to leave whenever you have to. We are very thankful that you took the time and stayed with us. But we will start now going a bit into the Q&A, and I think was one of the most prominent series of questions was, how can I find a position in my field? If it's from social sciences, humanities, and so forth, to life sciences. Already, Kit, you have mentioned, how to, where to find those information. We also have told you that you can go on the Euraxess website, on the portal. All the open positions in all the European countries, most of them are published at the Euraxess portal. But maybe, Kit, you could just again repeat to our audience, what is the easiest way to search? I think that's very important, and maybe to just emphasize again.
Yes, I think there were 100 questions on the same in the same context.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would like to tell our audience from India is that the PhD or the postdoc positions in Finland are quite different from what we call as PhD or postdoc in India, because the positions, almost each one of them, are multidisciplinary in nature. They are not straightforward as this is microbiology or this is chemical engineering, nothing like that. So you may not be able to find PhD in microbiology per se, but you will be able to find like Doctor of Science or Doctor of Technology is the usual titles that we get. It's mainly because the nature is multidisciplinary. So my best advice for anyone looking for a PhD position is to look through the websites of each of the universities. Both in open positions and also in doctoral schools. Those are the best sources for them to start with. The second way to find is to search with some specific keywords that they may have in their minds for doing a PhD in some specific topics. So searching with the keywords in research at research.fi, or for example, each of the universities also have their research portals. For example, although.research.fi or olu.research.fi. So searching with keywords will tell them who's working on what kind of a topic that may be of interest to them. So finding that researcher or academics, and they will be able to track which department or faculty in which universities are good in a topic of interest for them. So then following their doctoral school program applications or open positions, or even contacting the supervisors, will be the best sources. Unfortunately, there is not one single website that collects or gathers all the PhD positions opening in Finland. Very thorough search and very focused search. Invest your time in that to find the best positions.
Just want to add to what Kit said, on the Euraxess portal, we have a search engine tool. If you write like under jobs, find jobs, you look Finland, then you will see what open positions are there. But at the same time, I think it's very important that you also go into the links which Kit has shared with you, and also into the university's website, which the presenters have told you, and look there if you find something which corresponds with your background. But also the multidisciplinary approach is very important here to keep in mind, that these programs are very much looking for researchers with an interdisciplinary approach and background. I think we can maybe take some more questions and ask, of course, Dr. Sorin and Professor Laura to join in. First of all, of course, we're getting a lot of kudos from the attendees. That's very always good, to see that the webinar has been well, received. Now the question was also, of course, about language, for instance, like how important is it, the eligibility for languages, and also how is the application process? Like, are there interviews involved, or is it just, sending in your application? Like, how does it work? Is it like a general application procedure for all Finnish university programs, or is there a difference in each of the programs? Like, maybe you could just tell us a bit about that. Language and application procedure.
Should I start or?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So English is the requirement as a language, but definitely not Finnish. So the working language in all the universities in Finland is English. And I would say, for example, for FKI, 61% of our recruitees come outside of Finland. So English is enough to be working with. And then I don't think there are any joint calls. And I also kind of like a backup for the first answer about how to find a position in the universities is that there unfortunately is no kind of like free funding around the research groups, but they are always, all the positions are project funded. And anytime that a professor gets funding for a project that has been proposed, the professor opens positions. So therefore also, as was said, so it's very important to monitor the open positions. And then especially for also the social science question, so University of Helsinki is very multidisciplinary university. We have social sciences, we have medicine and computer science and all different disciplines. So that's at least a very good place to start the monitoring.
Dr. Sorin?
Yeah, I have the same. I have the same type of advice, that it seems that a lot of people think that there is some kind of huge program common to Finland and they should apply somehow in that thing, but it's not like this. Every group has or doesn't have some project and some funding associated with that project. And once that funding is available, the group will advertise the position. And typically, at least in my field, we are doing this advertisement quite heavily. You will see the announcements even in Nature, Science, sometimes, or in the usual job portals for academic recruitments. Like I'm sure that you know the examples, but you will see those positions advertised there. And then if you also go to the corresponding university, you will see that there is a job search or something where you can find it, but it's more difficult to find it in this way because it's usually under many positions. But if you follow just by looking at these search engines that are used for academic jobs, they will pop up somehow. We are paying for this advertisement, so they should come to you somehow.
So if I can add to that, so University of Helsinki has only one portal where all the open positions are launched. So at least we have one place to look for.
And just to clarify, like in the North, Kit, you wanted to add something on that?
No, just one clarification, because in the beginning
Yeah.
I said the PhD and postdoc positions are free. I meant they are tuition free. You do not pay tuition fees, but of course you do have to. I mean, you may be needed to look for funding for your research if your research group doesn't have funding for that particular position.
And how would one look for that? Like, are there kind of fellowship programs which are like, like national fellowship programs for international researchers available to apply grants?
Maybe Laura and Sorin could add after me. There are some fellowships program, and for example, the Finland Fellowship has been recently introduced by the Ministry of Education. So that helps them to kind of, for the first 7 months, they get some kind of a living grants close to 3,000 euros and a relocation grant just to help them settle down, so that then after that they are able to look for other funding sources. There are funding available also from field specific foundations, for example. They are very popular sources of funding. And in general, the supervisors of for the PhD and the doctoral planning officers for particular schools or particular faculty, they are best sources to advise the PhD scholars to look for funding, and they also help in writing those applications. We have very good support systems for researchers in general in all the Finnish universities.
Yeah, and I could also add that also European Union is giving some kind of grants. So also European Union research funding portal should be looked also. But also I now noticed that I forgot to reply to your question about then the interviews and what is usually the process that you asked previously. So yes, so first of course we evaluate the applications that we get in written. And then after that, we invited the applicants for interviews, the selected applicants for interviews. And the interviews usually are done online, so you don't have to travel to Finland to go for an interview, but definitely the first one is done online.
There is this question, like I'm attending a lot of webinars, I'm getting a lot of information, but I need guidance how to apply, and it's also like here a question of Dr. Laura, and I think it's also related to all the presenters here, how to find the host supervisor. I think this is the main, that also Dr. Nurul already addressed it, but I think this is one of the main, I think maybe not frustrations, but challenges which many have, that we provide the information, but homework and the work has to be done, of course, by you out there. And I see already that you have created also like a WhatsApp group now where you can support each other, because of course it's competitive, right? There are many who want to, and there are few positions, but many want them, and there are few fellowships, but many want them. But of course, it would be great to hear from you, like like any tips. Again, how to approach how to find a supervisor, who would also respond to me. Maybe both of you could give a bit of personal or insights from your experience.
Yeah, I would say that again, that kind of unfortunately has to be in the way that we have opened the position, because even that how good the applicant is and how much we would like to recruit the applicant, we can't if we don't have the salary money. And that is, as said, it's a bit difficult for us also to predict. We apply, of course, all the time for funding, but they are very competitive, and whenever we get that through, then we open the positions. And there was a question that there's no good kind of like instructions of how to apply, but at least on when we open the positions, there are very detailed information how to apply, and it's very good to kind of like follow that, so that at least the application doesn't fall into the situation that it's not kind of like done in the way that is requested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could add that usually the application process is quite light in my view for any Finnish position. I mean, you just send the CV and some letter of interest, and that's pretty much. But the essential thing is that, and another route is, of course, to contact directly people with whom you have some kind of common research interest, especially if you apply for postdoc, you should know already who is who in the field, you know the literature, so you immediately can look at some web pages of some universities and see who is doing what and where would you fit. And this can work if you have the right skills, and expertise at the right time can also work, because then this group leader will be interested in hiring you perhaps. And then there's a question of how to ensure that the funding is there, which is another question, but at least one step is but otherwise, this thing, just sending emails around without looking at the person and what they are doing, it's not really working. It's like fishing blindly in the dark or something. You have to be very specific what you want to do and why you are the person who has the right skills if you approach people.
Mm-hmm. So one way would be to maybe after this webinar to write to Dr. Sorin and Professor Laura and say, I attended your webinar with Euraxess and FICOR, and it was very interesting. Of course, we have to be also a bit, smart and strategic when we try to reach out to supervisors and potential funding agencies who have so many applicants coming in. But I just wanted to add something more on that. Like, there's a question, like, let's say the funding is guaranteed, there is some funding there for the position. What would be like the average, we call it like allowance, but salary in Finland, for a PhD or postdoc who would receive some funding, like just to give an idea. And what are the living costs, like comparatively, and are there some family support, like family allowance, like under the EU programs, for instance, the Most of the Career, we have like travel allowance, family allowance. Are there similar schemes? I'm sure there are, but maybe you could just mention that to our audience.
Yeah,
I could answer some. Sorry,
please.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Laura, you go ahead.
No,
then
go
I can
ahead.
Add. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
No, you go first. Yeah, I know that you have more maybe
Fine.
information about the allowances. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Please correct me if I'm wrong. For early stage researchers, meaning the PhD scholars who will be starting, it's anywhere between 2,600 to 2,000, I would say 900 euros per month. And then if you are thinking about living cost, it would be roughly on an average if you're a single person, and because the PhD students are considered as staff, and then they are not usually eligible for the student housing on campus, which are very, very nominal in their rates. For example, from anywhere between 230 euros to 300 euros per month, you will be able to live on the campus student housing. But they are prioritized for bachelor's and master's level students. So unless they are available, then you have to look for housing outside. And in the metropolitan region, it's pretty expensive. So I would estimate if you're not sharing a room with somebody, then at least 1,000 euros for renting, and on top of it, and at least another 500 to 600 euros as your living cost.
And family
but if you're
support?
lucky, it depends on the position. If it is offered as part of the funding, but in general, it's not common for PhDs scholars to get a family support on top of their salaries. It's pretty much the salaries is what they get.
And they're all taxable, right? Both PhD and postdoc salaries are taxable for international researchers.
It is taxable,
Yes.
but they have a cap. I think it's like 23,000 euros per year or something like that. There is a tab for that.
Okay.
Salaries above the tab is what will be taxed.
Yeah. And I could also add that then for the salary for postdocs is around 3,500 euros per month. And unfortunately, at least at our university, they are very fixed. So they are quite kind of like predetermined, and there is unfortunately no kind of like support then for families. But what is great in Finland is that we have free healthcare, very good quality healthcare, and also free education. So kind of like we pay for all these costs with the taxes that are, as said, mandatory then for everyone.
Yeah, I would like also to emphasize this, that the healthcare is under certain type of contracts, which you most likely will have. which is like 2 years, the healthcare is included. So this is a very high cost that you might not realize that it exists in other countries like United States, and you will have to pay it. It's a high cost which is somehow hidden from you, but it's paid here in Finland, which is very, very nice. And about the family, yeah, well, what can I say? I have seen people here who have brought their families. They are not starving, I can guarantee you, but they are not going to buy a Ferrari in the first week of staying in Finland either. So I hope you are not coming for doing that. But yeah, it's possible to support one spouse, for instance. Yeah, from a postdoc salary, it's absolutely feasible.
Yeah,
and
I think. Sorry.
No, just yeah, please.
Sorry, Samrat, if I have interrupted. I can add something more to it because I think this is so important for many of those who want to come to Finland. India is one of the key target countries for Finland, partnership country for many reasons, and so the Finnish ministries have come up with a lot of support mechanisms for whoever is moving to Finland, either a researcher or his family or her family and children, for everyone. So since the education and the health costs are so free, and so that cuts down most of your worries, which is a typical worry for most of the Indians, I would say, because of the high cost. So you can relax a bit there. And the quality of education in the school system and the daycare system is superb, excellent, number one in the world in most aspects. So your children get to study in that kind of a unique system. That's a perk on top of your research capabilities. And I would say there is also university-specific spouse support program. So your husband or wife trying to find a job in Finland will be having some sort of support channels for them to get through this process and then find a job. In most of the cases, when you're applying for a researcher visa, your family, your spouse is also given the right to work in Finland, which is not very common in other countries. So please consider that. So you have potential, your spouse is a potential candidate for the industry in Finland. So that's an advantage for you.
Oh, that's very, I think, very important piece of information you've just shared. Also, like, for family members, the possibility also to come and also work. Now, is there anything after my PhD, my postdoc, like, is there any support for me to stay in the country? Like, do I get like an extra year, or can I stay longer? Or I heard that there's a relocation that there's some money given to relocate, means going back to the home country, or how does it work in Finland? Or did I get it wrong?
There's no relocation funding for you to send you back to your own home country. It's not like that. I think the recent changes that the immigration policy I think it made to the headlines of many countries, and that's why these questions are coming. In general, when you have doing your research or studied in Finland, then you are given the possibility to extend your visa for 2 years. It's always 1 year and then after 1 year. So to extend this visa, you have to show that you're able to live in Finland with the minimum amount that is expected from you to cover your living cost. So if you're able to provide that evidence, then you get the possibility to extend your visa for 1 or 2 years to the maximum. So we are hoping that if you're skillful and great researcher, it will be possible for many of you to find job opportunities while here. So please don't worry too much about it. Yes, there was a kind of an unfortunate change made in the policy that if here and then in another 3 months, then if you're not able to find a job, then you're supposed to be going back to your home country. But I don't know how practically it is affecting people at the moment, because it's very recent change. I think it came in summer, like 1 or 2 months old. So we are also trying to see the impact of it and how it is going. But for good quality researchers, I would think that it should not be a problem.
And if I can also add to that, so we have a huge lack of resources in IT sector. So definitely, if you are doing computer science, there's a huge need of kind of like capable people for working on the IT professions. So I'm sure that there, at least, it's easy to find a new position.
That was actually what I wanted to add as a question. Know what are the job opportunities after the PhD or postdoc? In kind of in a similar context, I wanted to know what some of the questions were also regarding. Are there like any specific bilateral programs which are targeting like Indian scholars? Like, is there a Indo-Finnish bilateral program? And second, are there any short-term programs for Indian nationals who would like to come maybe for 6 months, to Finland and conduct research and studies?
I could answer that from
Yeah.
the background of FICOR. In FICOR, you would have noticed that there are 30 different seed-funded projects going on between various Finnish institutions and Indian institutions. Almost all the projects required recruitment of a PhD student or a postdoc student for a short term at least. But unfortunately, these kind of recruitments happen between the academics, because if you have 1 or 2 positions per project, they come in different times, and then they can't spend much on a wider promotion of these open positions. But so it happens between the communication with their academic peers and friends and colleagues in the network. So I would still suggest you to go through those and then use the peers or PIs involved in these projects as your potential sources to show your interest, because they are the most potential ones to look for students from India. Apart from this, I could also mention there is something called EduFi Fellowship. This is for any PhD scholar working in any of the Indian institutes to come and do part of his thesis, like from anywhere between 3 months to 1 year. In a Finnish university. The application needs to be applied by a Finnish host. For example, Laura, if she wants to recruit a PhD students for 1 year to stay in the University of Helsinki, then she can apply for that. And it's a rolling call for this fellowship. It goes throughout the year. Anyone can apply and get it. So this is a really, really interesting fellowship, which is, I would say, very underutilized.
The others, like anything you would like to add on that? Then we go to then we go to a more lighter question, and this is always also there's a lot of rumors about that Finland is the happiest country in the world, and there is a very good balance between work and private life. Can you confirm that? Is this true?
Definitely, yes. As it was already mentioned during this presentation, someone said it, so I definitely agree. So I would say that we are very equal people in Finland, and also, as said, so we also value the free time very much, but we also respected the good work also. So I would say that, yeah, great balance.
I have lived in Finland from India, and originally from India, and then I have lived in Finland for close to 20 years here. So I can definitely guarantee you that 100%. I mean, the work-life balance that you experience here, I really don't think you can experience anywhere else. There are other countries, but this is the base that I have experienced personally. And then the respect and for each one in the society, without any layers or differentiation between economic status or any other forms of discrimination, it is not there. So you're treated equally, and everyone, you also call your president or your supervisor only on a first name basis. So it's very casual and no hierarchy too much. And I'm sure that you will definitely like it here, enjoy your life here.
Yeah, I agree. I want to add a joke from a famous Finnish comedian who was in an interview and was asked by the host, so did you hear that Finland is the happiest country in the world and has the happiest people and so on and so on? He said, yeah, I heard, and that made me so depressed, so unbelievably depressed. The host said, why? How can it be so? Because everybody else around me is so happy and I am just normal.
I think it's a very good way to kind of come to the conclusion of this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Sorin, for this anecdote and this I think it was really great. Thank you so much to all the presenters, and we had more than 200 attendees now until the end. I see there's still such a high number of people who stayed with us, and that really, gives us, a very good feeling. And I think this has been a very great, informative webinar. Thank you so much again also to FICOR for the great support and organization, and of course to our speakers, for excellent presentation and the time you also took now to, I think we could have gone on for another hour or so, but we have to, I'll have to now continue with other things, but you will get a recording of this webinar. The presentations we will share with you all as usual in a follow-up email, and good luck to all of you who are interested in Finland to look for the opportunities which we have presented you today. But don't forget, we also have tomorrow a webinar, same time, same station, with different universities, different programs, and different opportunities again. And of course, Kit will be there with us again tomorrow. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing many of you tomorrow also here at the webinar. So with this, I say thank you again, goodbye, and good evening here in India, and good lunchtime in Finland, or is it post-lunch already?
It is
Post-lunch.
3 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah.
okay. A good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.